Ben.
All right, Susan, thank you very much. And that is all from the BBC News One. So it's goodbye from me, and on BBC One now, we'll join the BBC's news teams where you are. Have a very good afternoon.
The headlines on Reporting Scotland this Monday lunchtime. The first case of monkeypox is confirmed here in Scotland. And a landmark ruling as the Church of Scotland votes to allow clergy to marry same-sex couples for the first time. Hello there, good afternoon. Scotland has recorded its first known case of monkeypox. Public Health Scotland has not given details of where the person is, but says they are receiving appropriate treatment and care. Officials say contact tracing is underway and the risk to the wider community is low. Well, our health correspondent Lisa Summers joins us now. And Lisa, what more do we know about this? Our health correspondent Lisa Summers, thank you very much. ScotRail has introduced an emergency timetable and cut services across the country by almost a third after many drivers turned down overtime because of a pay dispute. The drivers' union ASLEF is due to ballot its members on industrial action. Here's our news correspondent now, Jamie McIver. The Church of Scotland has voted to allow clergy to marry same-sex couples for the first time. The historic vote was approved by members of the General Assembly in Edinburgh by 2-1, following years of campaigning. Well, our reporter Katrina Renton can tell us some more about this now. Katrina Renton, thank you very much for that update. Now, elsewhere, while nightlife and the hospitality sector suffered during the COVID pandemic, so too did the live music scene. A third of small venues promoting grassroots musicians have closed in the last couple of years. Well, today the Music Venue Trust is launching a new scheme to stop the rot and encourage music lovers to own a stake in their favourite haunts. The Glad Cafe in Glasgow Southside is among the venues across the UK that are hoping to benefit. And lastly, as was mentioned earlier, Scotland's newest railway station has opened in the Borders. Reston Station closed 58 years ago as part of the Beeching Cuts in 1964. But following a lengthy campaign by locals in Berwickshire, rail services have now been restored. It's hoped the new multi-million-pound station will help link Reston north to Edinburgh and south towards Newcastle. And now time for a look at your weather forecast. Here's Gillian Smart with more.
Good afternoon to you. Quite a showery look to the next few days of weather, although there will be some sunny spells on offer as well. And some of those showers, though, heavy. That's the forecast.
And that's all for now. We'll be back with more during Reporting Scotland at 6:30 tonight with Laura Goodwin. From everyone on the Lunchtime team, thank you very much for joining us. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now.
Shall we go in?
Yeah.
Will the West take it home?
Rita.
Nick, thank you. And that's all from me. Now on BBC One, it's time for the news where you are. Bye-bye.
Tonight on Reporting Scotland, commuters get their first taste of ScotRail's reduced timetable. Around 700 services are cut in a row over pay. We hear how it's impacting on your travel plans.
It's just total disarray, you know, and people just want to get to their work in the morning.
Well, I'm blind and I know the times of trains, and it kind of offset my routine.
Also on tonight's programme, Scotland's first confirmed case of monkeypox. One person is being treated in hospital here as cases across the UK more than double. The Church of Scotland votes to allow clergy to marry same-sex couples for the first time. And Kieran Tierney is left out of the Scotland squad for the World Cup playoff against Ukraine. Hello, I'm Laura Goodwin. Welcome to Monday's programme. An emergency timetable with almost 700 fewer train services is now in operation across Scotland. ScotRail reduced services as drivers turned down overtime, while a deadlock over their pay continues. The Scottish Government, which now owns ScotRail, says it won't get involved in the talks. The drivers' union is to ballot its members on industrial action. Well, our news correspondent Jamie McIver is at Queen Street Station in Glasgow. Jamie, how are things moving tonight? Our political correspondent Andrew Kerr joins us now. Andrew, the Scottish Government is saying they don't want to get directly involved. How long can that line hold?
Yes, a nationalised railway, but a hands-off approach at the moment. Now, I understand that ScotRail have their own negotiating mandate.
OK, Andrew, many thanks. Scotland's first monkeypox patient is being monitored in hospital in one of the country's specialist infectious disease units. Public Health Scotland has tonight confirmed. Close contacts of the person, who has not been named, are being offered a smallpox vaccine. Our health correspondent Lisa Summers is with us now. Lisa, what do we know about this case? OK, Lisa, many thanks. The SNP's Westminster leader, Ian Blackford, has renewed his call for the Prime Minister to resign after new photos emerged showing Boris Johnson drinking at an event in Downing Street during lockdown. The Scottish Tory leader, Douglas Ross, says the public deserves an explanation. The pictures, published by ITV News, show Mr Johnson toasting a group of people who appear to be tightly grouped. Our Westminster correspondent, David Porter, is outside the Commons this evening. David, yet another twist to the Partygate saga. OK, David Porter, many thanks. The General Assembly of the Church of Scotland has voted to permit ministers to carry out same-sex marriages if they wish. Following a debate on the issue this morning, commissioners voted in favour by more than 2-1. A warning that Stephen Godden's report contains flash photography. You're watching Reporting Scotland. Tonight's top story. ScotRail's emergency timetable begins as unions prepare to ballot their members on industrial action. And still to come, who will be playing in the Premiership next year? Inverness and St Johnstone battle it out again tonight for a place in the top flight. A charity supporting people with ADHD says it's very concerned that some are choosing to ration medication because of the cost of living crisis and long NHS wait lists. They say delays to getting assessed in Scotland have resulted in more people seeking out private healthcare and then spending hundreds of pounds every month on medicine. Here's our health reporter, Laura Foster. The Scotland manager, Steve Clarke, says he's determined to qualify for the World Cup finals later this year and has named the 28-man squad he hopes can take the country to Qatar. Stage 1 is next week's delayed match against Ukraine. As Cairdean Idsand reports, Clarke is having to proceed without one of his best players. McDermott Park plays host to a decisive game of football tonight. St Johnstone face Inverness Cally Thistle in the second leg of their Premiership playoff. The tie is finally poised from the first leg at 2-2. Jane Lewis is there for us. Jane Lewis reporting there. Now it's over to Laura and Martin to find out what's happening on BBC Scotland at 9 o'clock.
Tonight, as passengers grapple with the reduced ScotRail timetable, we'll speak live to the RMT Union, one of the two rail unions balloting their members for strike action.
We'll have more on the release of those pictures of Boris Johnson drinking at an event in Downing Street during lockdown. And we'll have the best of the action in tonight's playoff between St Johnstone and Inverness Cally Thistle. See you at 9.
Right, time now for a look at the weather with Judith, and that's a glorious picture behind you. How's the rest of the week looking?
Yeah, it's changeable. Menacing
yeah,
skies though, can't you? But it's always, Mother Nature's always beautiful, isn't it? Thank you very much. Yes, some rather menacing skies there. And those menacing clouds across the northeast brought some quite potent showers here as well. That's your forecast, Laura.
Thank you very much. Bit of a mixed bag this week.
Absolutely, yep.
Now, tonight's main news again. An emergency timetable with almost 700 fewer train services is now in operation across Scotland as a deadlock over drivers' pay continues. And that is Reporting Scotland. I'll be back with your late bulletin just after the 10 o'clock news. Until then, from everyone on the team right across the country, whatever you're doing, do have a very good evening. Bye-bye.
Sports Centre's live commentary of St Johnstone v Inverness Caledonian Thistle's Premiership playoff final. Second leg, that's on BBC Radio Scotland. Kick-off is at 7:45.
And that's it. Now BBC One, it's time for the news where you are. Have a good night.
Good evening. An emergency train timetable is now in operation across Scotland. ScotRail reduced services as drivers turned down overtime while a deadlock over their pay continues. The Scottish Government, which now owns ScotRail, says it won't get involved in the talks. The drivers' union is to ballot its members on industrial action. This report from our news correspondent Jamie McIver contains flash photography. Jamie McIver reporting. The General Assembly of the Church of Scotland has voted to permit ministers to carry out same-sex marriages if they wish. Following a debate on the issue this morning, commissioners voted in favour by more than 2-1. A warning that Stephen Godden's report contains flash photography. Public health officials have confirmed the first monkeypox patient in Scotland is being monitored in hospital in one of the country's specialist infectious disease units. Close contacts of the person, who has not been named, are being offered a smallpox vaccine. There have now been 57 confirmed cases of the viral infection across the UK. To football, and highlights of tonight's Premiership playoff between St Johnstone and Inverness are coming up over on the BBC Scotland channel, so leave the room now if you don't want to know what happened. Right, time now for a look at the weather forecast. How's the rest of the week looking, Judith?
It's up and down. A wee bit changeable. Thank you very much, Laura. Quite a dramatic sky there behind me. It looks like Thor, the god of thunder, could punch a big hole through those clouds. That's your forecast.
Thank you very much, Judith. And that is Reporting Scotland. Our next update is during breakfast at 6:25 tomorrow morning. From everyone on the late team, good night.
Lifting the lid on football management.
I was invited